All right, welcome to this week's Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com. If you have any trouble during the presentation hearing me or with the video, let me know, and we will work on getting that all straightened out, but we should be good to go. So before I get going, just a little feedback on how the audio is doing. Okay, I want to do a quick audio check before we go further here. So just let me know how the audio is doing. Okay, great. All right, so good. All right, audio is awesome. Okay, all right, and you can see screens okay and all that kind of good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and get going. You know, we've had a little bit of pullback in the market over the last, this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So the purpose of Stock Analysis Friday is for me to analyze any stocks you may already be in or thinking about going in, whether it's a long trade or a short trade, or maybe perhaps your broker called you and suggested a stock and you want to run it by and see how the technicals look on it. So that's the purpose of Stock Analysis Friday. So when you type in your symbols, type them in caps and make sure they're stocks or ETFs. And then let me know if you're long, if you're thinking about it. That way I can kind of custom the analysis based on what you're thinking of doing. All right, so go ahead and do that now and do that in the comments area. And in the meantime, let me just run through the usual administrational items here. And we'll start out with the presentation disclaimer. And we want you to realize that past performance doesn't guarantee future performance in the markets. And also realize that we don't have the ultimate crystal ball. Everything is probabilities when we make a move in the market. So because of that, there's no guarantees, of course. All right, so the other thing that you need to know is, of course, always trade with risk capital, money you can afford to risk in the markets, and always know how to assess your risk when you're going into a trade and how to somewhat control it. And I got a couple books I'm going to share with you on that in just a moment. But for day traders looking for risk control, we like to suggest going to a prop funding firm, something like Apex Trader Funding. And this way you can day trade the futures market. I use them, love them. And it gives you a chance to learn how to do it in a safe environment. And it's very, very inexpensive. And if that interests you, you can read more about it. I'll put a link up in the chat area here. Okay, so you can check it out on your own. And if you decide to do it, I got a code there that's going to save you a ton of money. So definitely take a look at that. All right, in terms of books, The Art of Trading is now completed. That's the book on the far right. That is coming out in December, I understand. So our publishers over at Wiley are putting the final touches, layout touches, I guess, on that. And it's looking real good. It's about 580 pages. I think it's the best book I've written to date. And that can be, you can order that basically anywhere, I guess, but probably the best place would be Amazon. And if you're watching the recording or want to double back and look at this, I will put the links below for books and any software tools or anything relevant that I think you need to know. All right, Elliott Wave Techniques is another book, very popular book on the Elliott Wave, which is a form of technical analysis. And then you can see my money management books as well. And then we'll just cap this off with software. We're going to be using the ART, AL, PTF, TLM, and ERI software tools today. We've got scanners. We will not be using those. Our risk control software, we won't be using those today. So we'll be focusing on the charting software on multiple time frames. Again, if you're interested in our software, I'll put a link below, or you can always go to our website. And then the final thing is like, subscribe, share. All right, so you got to help us out and do that. That would be great. All right, so let me come out of here and let us go over here. And let me just see if there's anything. Okay, good. So I see some stocks coming in. All right, great. I'll get to those in just a moment. So before I get going, I just wanted to do a quick overview of the overall markets. I guess I'll do the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but keep in mind there's also the NASDAQ, the S&P. If you're interested in that, we have a service called the Market Opportunity Report Service that's updated every week that goes into a thorough analysis of the markets. So if you're concerned we are near a top and we're getting ready to sell off and you want to keep informed, that's the service you should go to. All right, again, that's on our website, and I'll put that in a link, I guess, below on the recording as well. All right, so I'll put Gene's little remark up here to give us a like, so you can do that right now while I go over kind of what you're looking at here. All right, so this is our software on a charting platform called NinjaTrader. And NinjaTrader, a very popular platform. I use it for day trading as well as end-of-day analysis. And basically, I've got 3 charts up, all with our software. Now, these little triangles that you see, as well as these little indicators at the bottom, that is our software loaded on all 3 charts. So I got the 60-minute chart over here, which is our short-term look at the market. I got the daily chart in the middle, intermediate, and a weekly chart over here for long-term. And that's kind of what the software is doing. It's looking at trends and giving us entry and exit signals, all based on when things align properly. So a quick thing on the market I just want to go over real quick here is that we have broken one of the trend lines. This one here, the closest one that we had drawn on the Dow Jones recently, but we have not broken this one down here, nor have we gone through any major support levels yet. So I'm not super concerned about whether we're starting the quote unquote big bear market yet. I think right now it's too early to say. I think we're going to see some more downward pressure. One of our indicators, which is over here on the left side, has a tremendous track record of about 75% in the markets. And when that's red, that means there's a high probability that that bottom's not in yet. The market could head back down. So I think we're going to see some volatility. And I think if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. What do we got coming up next week? The election, right? So it's not surprising. If you look back on history, just about every election period has a period of volatility where the market kind of goes up, goes down, a little bit erratic, but doesn't really make a statement either way in terms of the direction. So we may be entering that phase right now, a little pullback, apprehension. You know, the market doesn't like uncertainty. So until the election gets ironed out, and it may not be ironed out next November 5th, right? It may take a while for them to announce a winner. So we'll see how the market reacts to that. But it's not surprising to me to see this pullback. Now, I will say, with that said, this little area in here, the little orange area here, this is a fib extension. And this is a target zone. I'll put TZ up there. So the market is sitting in an area that we consider a high probability top based on, let's go back to about 2009, right? That's how long this bull run has been taking. So we're in a position here ripe for a sell-off. All right. It doesn't mean that's happening right now, but we do have to consider that if we see further selling and we start taking out not only these trend lines, but some of the key support areas here. So my suggestion for right now in terms of what you should do in the markets, you know, have stop losses in place in your short-term trades. You may have been stopped out of some of them already, and that's okay. And also, too, on your long-term trades, I'd have a game plan worked out with your financial advisor on what to do when and if the market sells off, right? So that way you're not caught like a deer in headlights, not knowing what to do if that happens. So just kind of have your ducks in a row. And I would not here be buying any long-term trades. All right, short-term stuff, that's different, like what we look at here, because we're not going to be in them that long. But if they're long-term trades as an investment, I would stay away from them. Now, some of the trades we may look at here are good for long-term because they've sold off significantly and they pose a little bit different reaction to what the market's currently doing. So if we find one that's a long-term trade, it's simply because it's not at all-time highs. And there's some opportunity by going up instead of course, standing on the sidelines. So that sometimes is what we can have. All right, so with that said, I'm done with the analysis here. Let's jump in and see what we got cooking here. and we'll start, Stuart, with you, and limit the number of picks you put into 3 because we're only going to be here for about a half an hour today. All right, ZM. All right, ZM is one we looked at last week. We liked it a lot. It went on our buy list. Stu, I don't know if you noticed that, but that one was actually doing really well and still doing well. Our target on this is going to be a little bit longer of a trade. And here's a perfect example of what I was talking about before. Look at the big move down on this chart here. I'm going to open this up. This is a weekly chart and went up, went down. I love looking at this chart because this always builds the case of why we like to trade versus buy and hold, right? Going all the way up and then all the way back down. So as traders, we make money going up and we make money going down. All right, buy and hold, not so much. All right, so here we are, popping out of a elongated 1.5 year long channel. The longer the channel and the eventual pop out, the better the trade. And so we're seeing that now. And there is a close-up of us breaking out here. We got a pyramid here. We talked about an early entry. We're knocking on the door, breaking out of the channel here. So again, this is one that if you're not in, it's not too late to get in. And we really like it. All right, so let's continue with ZM on our buy list. All right, so good one on this one. And I think you can enter right now. And I would, you might get a pullback, but it's not going to be a big deal. Maybe a few points here and there. But for the potential profit here, you can certainly go in. And again, our target's quite high, 191 to 276. That's a double your money. All right, and that is ZM. All right, new one for this week, PENN, PENN. PENN National Gaming, I believe that one is, according to the symbol lookup. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, let's open up that longer term chart and see what Stuart's looking at. Stuart, I know from your history that you like to look at stocks that are bottoming, and it certainly is a good way of doing it because you got a lot of white up here for this baby to pop up to. All right, again, great example of buy and hold, up and down, and a better example of active trading, how good that can be. And here we are. Okay, so we came down here. We're popping back up. Looks actually pretty good. All right, so I'm liking the fact that it's breaking out. We've got a green momentum. This thing's called the owl down here, measuring momentum. We use it to help us with Elliott wave counts at times. And so that's looking, bullish. Let's take a look at the shorter time frames, and they are in alignment. So we got a little bit of a pullback here. I'm not concerned about it because we have a green PTF over here, but let's go ahead and put this one on the buy list. I think actually this pullback that we're in now gives us an opportunity to get in at a good price. Let's take a look at PLTK. PLTK. All right, another one here. See, I told you like these ones where it was all coming down. The only thing, Stuart, is you're picking stocks that does not have much history, right? So it makes it a little difficult on the weekly chart to assess any type of Elliott wave count. But certainly here, again, bottoming. Notice here that we have bullish divergence. So let's say, we're not ready to say, because there's not that much history, that this thing's going to go like that. Okay, we don't know. But based on the history we do have, we can draw in at least some fairly conservative retracement areas. So it could go up here and then turn around and go down, or go straight up. So when you choose these retracement areas, you're kind of, killing two birds with one stone, in that, all right, if this is not the greatest stock and it's not going to take off, it should at least get there, because you're going to have shorts covering. You're going to have some people getting in because of the value and taking it as even a long shot investment. Okay, so I'm liking this again. Our target on this would be $15.46 to $21.24. So that's a double your money too. It's at $7.88. Always put your stop, by the way, 1 tick or 2 ticks or 5 ticks under this bottom, just in case they go for liquidity again. Give yourself enough room under there that you don't get wiped out, but you don't expose yourself in case it really trails on down and the stock has really big difficulty. So you don't want to get stuck in that. but by the same token, you don't want to get wiggled out of the trade. All right, so that's PLTK. We're going to put that one on. So Stuart, I think you're 3 for 3 today. PLTK. All right, so round of applause for Stuart. All right, we all can go home now. All right, so let's keep going. That's a joke. All right, so let's keep going. Lowell, how are you? Lowell is just curious on these. Let's take a look at Lowell and see. GO. See what we got cooking on GO. And let me put your picks back up there here. Okay, there you go. All right, so, all right, good. All right, so this one is also moving down, a little different than the ones we looked at before from Stuart. And what we don't have here is a bottom yet. So we got red here, so it's still heading down. We still have an active trend down. There's been no basing like on those others, active trend down. So while this could be good at some point, I would not trade it yet, okay? So let's put this one on a watch list, and we'll come back and look at it, because if and when it bottoms over the next, well, it might be the next couple months, could be quicker, could be a little longer, but let's keep an eye on it, because eventually it will bottom and then spring from its bottom, and that's kind of where we want to pull the trigger, right? So we'll keep an eye on that one. So that goes on a watch list. And I'll be glad to look that up every week for you. Just bring it back. You can bring it back and ask me to look it up. All right. So this one again, all right, is in the opposite direction. So this one's taking off already. So a little too late to get in. All right. Now, notice here how many consecutive pyramids we've had in a row, a ton of them. So that's an indication of a big wave 3 in our Elliott wave family. And wave 3 is the biggest wave of the group of 5. And on that wave there, all right, we're kind of nearing a top on it for a pullback. Now, a couple things here. Take a look at that owl and take a look at this green PTF. Look how bullish that is and how powerful it was. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is not going higher. It is going higher. The reason why I'm not telling you to get in right now is because it's too late. All right, let's wait for a pullback and then get in. All right, the dumb money is going to follow this up right now. So you want to be the smart money, right? And if you take a look at this chart, do you want to get in here or do you want to get in way up here? More risky, believe it or not, to get in here. Yes, it could go higher, but probably not enough to justify the fact that the next move down could bring it back under 100. So you kind of don't want to get stuck with that, because then you'll be a trapped buyer. And you would be rewarded as long as you're going to hold it for a long time. But I think it can do a little bit better like a sniper does. Definitely time it better. So I'm liking this. I think you may have even a short trade at some point. I wouldn't personally take that. The charts are just too powerful for a short trade. That's risky as well. But after it pulls back, looks pretty good. All right. So, and how do you measure that pullback? You know, you just grab a fib and run it on up. And if it pulled back today, and I don't think it's going to quite yet, but if it did, you're looking at 92 to 65. So I think if you went long up here and that happened, you'd be unhappy. So let's put that on just keep an eye on it, but not yet. Okay. And then finally your KR, let's take a look at that one. All right, let's see where that one is going. You have a green. I don't see anything really red except a little bit on the short-term time frame. Let's open this one up and see how that looks. And okay, so we've got a run up here. I would not go long on this one. Okay, again, yes, we may get a little higher, go into the 60s, but based on this analysis, I don't know if we're going to go much higher than that. And if we draw some fibs in here, we're kind of at the higher target zone. So I kind of would stay away from this one, okay? I think you can find better ones like those 3 that we looked at already, ZM, PENN, PEN, and PLTK would be better candidates for you, all right? So thank you, Lowell, all right? Keep coming back. All right, let's go back. Al, how are you? All right, MNPR. Say that 3 times. MNPR. All right, big jump up. All right, very cheap stock. It went from What was the low of that? Probably a $4.56 all the way up. Not a lot of history, coming back down. All right. I can't get a good take on this in terms of, it's only been out since 2021. All right. A lot of reasons for that uptake. Could have been some favorable news. It could have been a large institution. Who knows? But now we've had a pretty significant retracement, which is actually good, because usually when you get a big bar, all right, usually after the bar completes, you get some type of pullback, probably in the 50% area. So look, you got that. All right. So I would probably, if you're interested in doing this, is you could go long here. All right. But you have to, where are you going to put your stop? It would have to be almost at zero. All right. So, you know, that's it. To get up here, you do probably have close to 2 to 1. You could take that if you wanted to. I think maybe a better bet on this would be, and I know you have our software, wait for this to go green. Okay. That owl here. Wait for us to get a little move off this bottom so you can set your stop up under there. All right. I think it's too early to go in, but maybe in a few days it might not be for this type of trade. I don't think it's for everybody. I'm not going to recommend it, but the potential, all right, if you hit this correctly, could be some pretty good movement up here pretty quick. And look at that. That would be a double your money, if not maybe triple by the time it's done. So I'm liking it. But what I'm saying here is let's let this 60-minute chart finish, because it may come down a little more. Let's let that finish before we go long. And it may have finished, because this is kind of a bullish bar here we're looking at. So I just want to see us get above that with a little enthusiasm. So please bring this one back next week, okay? And if you choose to go into this one before you come back, just wait for it to pop above that bullish bar there and give it another bar on top of that just to make sure it's not a fake out. Okay. So I'm liking that, but just a little bit, wait a little bit. And again, I am not going to put that on the recommended list for this week though. All right. Al's got another one, RKLB. If I could type it in, RKLB. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, so this one popped off its bottom. I don't know if we looked at this one before. I don't think we did. I would have recommended this one down in this area here when it popped out of here with all those pyramids. I do like that. I'm trying to think now. I'm looking at this. I'm trying to think if it's taken off too much to recommend it, and I think it has, unfortunately. I think it's going higher. But again, I don't like to get into trades that are, you know, the owl's starting to come down off its high. We've had a number of pyramids in a row. So I would kind of put this on a watch list and wait for the pullback and then pull the trigger. Okay. So I think that may be a better move. Then you won't become a trapped buyer having to wait it out during the pullback. However, if you want to, you can do that. I think you'll get rewarded, but I think you're going to sit on the sidelines while this correction eventually unwinds. So I would say no, and plus you got a red PTF down here on the 60-minute chart. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Mr. Frank, how are you? Okay, ARK, A-R-R-K, long. Riot want to go long. Okay. I don't know if RIOT is another one you want me to look up, because there is a symbol. I believe it's a crypto for that. RARK. So let me just start out with this one. I think that's what you mean. Okay. So let me just take a look at that. Okay. So let's take a look at your first one here. And okay, I'm not seeing anything on that one. So maybe it's just RIOT you want to look at. Okay, that one probably is the one. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to open up the long-term chart here. All right, so on this one, at least we're not looking to buy up here, right? Okay, so I like the fact we're down here thinking of a long trade. So, okay, so we got a green PTF. So this baby's got some room to move up, all right? Should break that high at some point. we're a little bit stuck in a channel here. Okay, so here is the issue with this. If you went long today, all right, and put your stop, let's say you put your stop under here or here, okay? The problem is that you may not lose much money, but it may go back and forth for a year before it pops out. So you'd be stuck in it, so to speak. So I think it may be a little bit premature to pull the trigger on it quite yet. And we have a red PTF down here. At least here on the daily chart, we got a little bit of a move up, but this mess here represents, in other words, this, when I say mess, this mess here represents all this in here. So I think I would use the weekly chart, and let's see if we can see some follow through on this. Let's wait for a green owl over here and at least no more red PTF. So let's bring this back next week. Okay, let's take a look at it next week. All right, so let's keep going here. Oh, Jim, how are you? All right, UNG. Yes. Okay, so here is the thing here. All right, UNG is an interesting little animal here. All right, this was a nice looking bullish trade, formed actually a double bottom, and I'll go over that in a minute on the daily chart. So what we like about this for a long trade is we have this, right? We have a bullish owl over here. So I would not go short here, okay? Simply because, you know, it's been beaten down so much, it may only go a few ticks to grab liquidity and then turn around and head up. So I don't know what kind of shorting opportunity you would have on this time frame. You know, you might have one on an intraday short-term time frame, but, you know, on this one, not so much. All right, plus you have a green PTF, but you do have a red one on the 60-minute short chart. So what do I mean by all that? Okay, so if you're a day trader and you want to take a short on this, or you're, you know, a short, really short-term swing trader using intraday charts, you could do that. Longer-term position trading, I wouldn't do that. Now, okay, so here's the deal. I think we have penetrated the bottom once again. So let's take a look at the low here. It's 1243. We had a previous low here at, let me open that up so I can get my mouse. Oh boy. Okay, hold on one second. All right, come on, chart. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so you can see it went below. All right, so this is the daily chart. So we had a low of 1258, excuse me, and now we are at 1243. Okay, so now the next question is how low can it go? So if you want to do a fib extension, which I think, Jim, maybe you're doing here, you're talking possibly down here before it bottoms, which could justify a short-term scalp. I get it. I don't think I would take that. Instead, I'd be looking more for an opportunity again to go long after this thing bottoms out. So that's kind of where I would take it on that. So again, you probably would have gotten stopped out by now. Okay, all right. So you take your stop out, you take your loss. It happens. But I think at some point here, you can try again to the long side. But let's see how far down it goes. Okay, that we're not sure about at this point. So let's put UNG back on here as a buy. I'm sorry, as a watch list with a possible buy later on. And if you had been long on it, you probably would have been stopped out because your stop would have been there at the bottom or at this level here. All right, so that's UNG. Well, let me go find Jim here. Okay, there you are. All right, now UVIX. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so this is another one that is popping out of possibly a long-term bottom. All right, so we went up, we held, we're coming out. I see a lot of green on the lower time frames. Not a very expensive stock, but okay, all right, okay. Let's see what we got here. So if we have a bottom here, this is a tremendous opportunity. Okay, we have a possible, you know, you could also too, if you wanted to do this, is you could put a line up here And if it pops out of there, then you've broken the channel. The only problem is if you go long here, all right, for example, if you went long right off this pyramid here, all right, you'd still be in the trade, okay, but it didn't go anywhere, okay, it's channeling. So if you kind of want to be a little bit more conservative and wait for it to pop out of the line for a more immediate move, then I'd wait until it does. But you know what? There's no reason based on this. The risk to reward is good because the reward is possibly here, and worst case scenario, halfway. All right. So let's just say if things didn't work out as good as the PTF says it should, then we're going to get to $10 instead of 20, and that's still a double your money at this price. All right. So, you know, that's not a bad risk to reward. And this bottom has held for quite some time. So I think maybe let's put this on a buy list. What do you think? Okay. It's incredible that we're coming up with quite a few of these buys on a market right before election time, right? That's going into volatility and possibly more pullback. But notice that all the stocks that we have picked have basically been in a bottoming formation, not in a top formation. So that's kind of one of the key differences. Okay, so not so bad. All right, looking pretty good here. All right, Stuart, let's take a look at FSLR. All right, I think we're going to end here on this one probably here. Let's take a look at this because our time is kind of coming to the end here. All right, so Stuart, what are you doing with this one? Long. I think, are you currently long or thinking along? Not sure. All right, well, if you've been long, I don't know where you got in, but you know, if you got in back a while ago, you suffered this pullback, but I think the pullback could be just about done. All right. So at this point, I would hold it. I'm not going to recommend it because you still can draw trend lines down on this chart, and even one here. We may have broken that, but we don't have a clear move up yet. So a break of structure back to the upside has not occurred. Now, what do I mean by that? Break of structure is this, okay? This would be a break of structure, okay? BOS. Currently right now, downtrend, we may get a break of structure. That's when you want to buy it. All right, so that's kind of where we are there. So keep an eye on it. You can bring it back next week, but not for right now, okay? Let's take on that one that we like, the UVIX. Yes, that is an ETF, all right, for the VIX, 2 times long, okay? So you don't like those, don't trade it, but otherwise, there you have it. All right, let's see here. It's an ETF, though. It's not a stock, it's an ETF. And that's okay because we can look up stocks and ETFs. And sometimes, you know, I call it an ETF a stock simply because it kind of, the way it works is like a stock, all right, not like a futures. All right, so that is it. Gave a like. Thank you there, Constance. Appreciate that. Let's take a look real quick at the overall markets. I'm anxious I'll be day trading some of these markets soon. As soon as I get off here, right? So let's go over to the micros. Let's just take a look at the MNQ or the NQ. So this has been going up all morning here. What a great opportunity this would have been. Also, too, you pulled back to all the fair value gaps and order blocks beautifully. Now we've got a big order block and fair value gap. Actually, there's a fair value gap up here. So this is getting close, I think, to an intraday top. So maybe look for a short position up here soon. But you might have one more long position off this green fair value. You got a bullish pyramid here as well. Pyramids have been capturing these big moves up beautifully, and there you have it. Okay, so using the pyramids alone this morning, it could have gone to 2,100 all the way up to a stop of over 100 points. Not too shabby. $20 a contract on the full NQ, $2 a contract on the MNQ. So that was a nice money maker. If you're a scalper and you scalp these little areas here, still a good money maker. So there you have it. Unfortunately, the next trade to me looks like either a long here up to here, or wait for the short trade when it takes out these fair value gaps at the top. All right. So what happens is usually, especially on Friday, your big trading time is now coming to a close in terms of tremendous opportunity that's been exhausted, I think, already today, but you will have some scalps here and there for the rest of the day. So that's kind of where that's posting out. All right, so I think that is it for today. Everybody got through Halloween yesterday, okay? And now we're on to November, so now it's getting ready for Thanksgiving already. All right, so I want to thank everybody for giving us the likes, okay? We appreciate that. That helps the channel. And our goal is to grow the channel. And we've got some ideas coming up in 2025 to even enhance what we're doing now. But we appreciate all the support and everybody being here. So with that said, I will go ahead and call it a day here. And everybody have a great weekend. And we'll be back again next Friday for Stock Analysis Friday. So just a quick review before I leave. All right, so on the ones that we're recommending today, ZM, PENN, PLTK, UVIX, which is that 2 times ETF. And then on the watch list, I think we got GOMNPR, RKLB, and UNG. We're watching for a bottom. All right. So, and UNG is an ETF for natural gas. Okay. So there we have it. All right. So that is it for today. Franks, thank you for being here. Al, thank you for being here. Jim and Constance, everybody out there, thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. Okay. So have a good one. All right. And I'll leave this on for just a few minutes before I close the room. And then the recording will be available as well. If you ever miss the live one, you can catch the recording, because a lot of the trades that we see and find are not day trades. So those are ones you could even take on Monday. Okay. So if you ever miss it, you can double back. All right. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Stuart. All right. Appreciate it. You too. And I will mute out, keep this on for a little bit longer, and we'll see you next week.